पद पंकजासनाराधित गणपते मरे गौरी कुमार माबाई गणपते मते.
Hari Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om to everyone and good morning. Today we'll look at a small topic in the much larger scheme of what Swamiji has been covering the past few weeks. In looking at this general overview of Sanatana Dharma, of our Hinduism and Shastras, the entire bird's eye view of everything, going through different concepts one by one, one such important topic that is also a common misconception in our day and age is, within Hinduism, how many paths are there? So when we ask this question, or oftentimes we get asked this question, and we're kind of put on the spot, what should we answer? Many different paths that all lead to the same goal and end goal. Often this is the first thing that comes to mind. But this is one aspect within our Shastras that is continuously reiterated in so many different commentaries, and is an important concept also for us to remember and to know when we're looking at understanding this entire journey. So quick answer first, short answer, is that within Hinduism, there is one path. This one path has two aspects or two parts, and it's within these two parts that everything else that we've heard may fit in. This one path consists of the two aspects of karma and jnana. Within karma, we find all the other different aspects of paths or yogas, we might say, that fall into when we generally think of what is Hinduism, what is Sanatana Dharma. Within karma, we have bhakti yoga, we have dhyana yoga even, we have raja yoga or hatha yoga. All these different aspects fall within to the bucket or the category of karma yoga. And this entire bucket or category, we could say, has one purpose, which we'll look at today. This first part is kind of the preparation or the prerequisite for the second aspect of this one path, which is jnanam or knowledge. And this aspect also has one purpose. And when we look at the purpose of each of these two paths, we see that it's defined based on the nature of the self, or the definition of the self of the universe as we see within our Shastras. So first, starting off with basics, when we look at who am I, and what is the world within our Shastras, even from beginning and initial texts like Tattva Bodha, we see that Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has outlined definition of the self as, at the deepest level, at the core of our being, Sat Chit Ananda. This is something that, of course, Swamiji has covered in the past few weeks as well. This divinity, this aspect of consciousness, is our true identity. It is upon this aspect of consciousness that many other layers exist. Upon this substratum, we could say that many other aspects of both the world and ourself exist. So both at the macrocosmic level of the universe, as well as the microcosmic level of ourself as an individual, we see different aspects of personality. Anandamaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, and Annamaya kosha. So if we're to look at these in rough terms, we have the bliss sheath or aspect that is the next most subtle level of our personality and also of the macrocosm. Vijnanamaya kosha, which is the intellect sheath or the intellectual layer. Manomaya kosha, which is the mind. Pranamaya kosha, which is the vital air sheath, as is commonly translated. And finally, Annamaya kosha, which is the food sheath or the physical layer. So this is what we see as ourself when we're interacting with the world, when we're even taking care of ourselves on a day-to-day basis. So we have all of these different layers of our personality, which exist upon this substratum of Sat Chit Ananda. Now, when we look at these different layers existing upon this substratum, we can question, what is it that needs to be done in this journey as a sadhaka, in this journey as a seeker? What is it that needs to happen? And what are maybe the steps in all of that happening? At the most fundamental level, at the most absolute level, we see that our nature already is that Sat Chit Ananda. It already is that pure consciousness. It already is that form of divinity that we can think of. And it always was in the past, and it always will be in the future. So this is an absolute truth. That nature alone is. Because of this statement, even at the purely intellectual level or purely philosophical understanding, you could say, because this is the nature of ourself already, nothing needs to be done in order to become that. Nothing needs to be done in order to transform ourselves into that. If we're thinking of ourselves as a limited individual, a limited being, who through this process, this journey of sadhana, gets transformed into that Sat Chit Ananda, that would be a slightly misinterpreted way of thinking about it, or a slightly misunderstood way of thinking about this. At the absolute level, we already are that absolute truth, that Sat Chit Ananda. However, it's these other layers of our personality, starting from the external most Annamaya kosha, the physical level, all the way to Anandamaya kosha, the bliss sheath. All these different layers of our personality are what go through changes, are what things can be done to change, actions can be taken to change. So here is where we have the distinction of jnanam versus karma. In order to reach this state of realization or moksha, because nothing needs to be done at the fundamental level, at the absolute level, I already am that Sat Chit Ananda. The only thing that needs to happen is knowledge or an understanding to take place to understand this. Once that knowledge has taken place, this also is a bigger concept to understand. Once that knowledge has taken place during Shravanam, or during the time of Satsang, whenever we're listening to these truths, once that knowledge has taken place, once we've taken in that knowledge and understood, okay, this is my true nature, this is the nature of the self, and abiding in that knowledge has to take place as well. And that, once it happens, abidance in that knowledge is what we refer to as moksha, or liberation, freedom. Abidance in the knowledge of my true nature. So this aspect is what we refer to as jnanam. Because in order to understand and abide in that knowledge, nothing needs to be done. Simply, this knowledge needs to take place, and abidance in that knowledge needs to happen. Now, when we look at this karma aspect, obviously, karma means action or doing. What is it that we're doing, and what are the agents of action? To what is action happening, and by whom is this action happening? This aspect, if we can understand more clearly, can give us a lot of clarity on this entire journey, this entire path, this one path that we have in our Sanatana Dharma. So within this part, this aspect of karma yoga, within this one path of Hinduism, the purpose of this entire aspect is purification of the mind. Simply purification of the mind, and this can start from physical level of disciplining our body in order to prime initial changes in the mind as well, all the way to different aspects of conditioning our mind and really causing a change at the mental level, at the intellectual level as well, at the level of the antakarana, or the inner instrument, as we see within our shastras. So this mental purification, that is the purpose of karma yoga through these various aspects of bhakti, bhakti, dhyanam, and raja yoga, etc. All of these different aspects, again, are for this purification of mind, known as chitta shuddhi in Sanskrit. Chitta shuddhi, when we say this, these two words, chitta here, refers to this entire inner equipment, this antakarana of mind, intellect, memory, ahankara. And shuddhi, of course, means purification or cleanliness. So purifying the entire inner equipment. This is the one purpose of karma yoga. And this purification of the inner equipment, again, is the prerequisite, is the preparatory step to jnanam, or knowledge, taking place. Because, as we see often within our experience with going to satsangs and even with teaching, often we have the knowledge, we have the understanding of what Shastra is telling us, but as soon as we leave that, maybe the mission setting or the satsang setting, wherever we've heard that knowledge, as soon as we leave that environment, we go back to our worldly understanding of things, our worldly perception of things. The knowledge doesn't stick, or rather we don't abide in that knowledge. This happens because we don't have enough purity of mind. So when we can get enough purity of mind and that knowledge takes place, we can then abide in that knowledge and reach the final goal that we're working towards. So going back to this purification of mind, this chitta shuddhi, even within chitta shuddhi, if we're trying to understand what is that chitta shuddhi, what is that purification of mind that's happening, what are some of the aspects of that, we can see that there's 5 different mini parts of this chitta shuddhi taking place. So when we look at what is this chitta shuddhi, it of course involves the shuddhi itself, purification of the mind, but also chitta vishalata, or expansion of the mind, chitta ekagrata, or concentration of the mind, chitta nirodha and chitta nishedha, restriction of the mind, and then transcending of the mind itself. So these few aspects of chitta shuddhi, or purification of the mind, are what happens during all of these parts of karma yoga, including bhakti, dhyanam, etc. We are working on bringing the mind, the thoughts within the mind, to a more clear and more pointed direction. The flow of thoughts, the direction of the flow of the thoughts itself will change in this purification. The number of thoughts that we have also tends to decrease as this purification is happening. So the quantity of thoughts decreases, and then quality of thoughts also increases. These 3 aspects are something that Gurudev highlights in Self-Unfoldment and many other beginning texts as well. So when we're looking at chitta shuddhi, direction of thought flow changes, quantity of thought flow decreases, and quality of thought flow also increases. This is what we can think of as general shuddhi, or purification. Along with that, chitta vishalata, or expansion of the mind. This concept, I think, is also very relevant to us, because what it boils down to is being able to see that Ishvara, that one who we are constantly praying to, constantly worshiping, being able to see that higher form of divinity in each and every person that we interact with, in each and every part of the world that we see, that we communicate with on a day-to-day basis. So this expansion of that one form to whom we perhaps worship daily in the morning, expanding that vision to the entire day, expanding that vision to every single experience within the entire day. This is the expansion that takes place, so that when we talk about the mind, this vishalata has occurred. Next is chitta ekagrata. This is something that probably we've heard many times when we talk about dhyanam or meditation. What is it that we're trying to do with the mind? We're trying to bring it to a single pointedness. We're trying to bring it to a focus. And this also, I think, is something that probably really applies now during our stay at home times, our lock in and shelter in place times. Because as we find ourselves when we're working at home, perhaps on more video conferences, on more calls throughout the day, we have a lot more screen time that's happening. One of the common patterns that we may find ourselves falling into is multitasking. And I'm saying that this probably happens more now, but of course we may have already had this pattern, this trend in ourselves before this entire episode of coronavirus took place as well. Multitasking is something that we're trained to do even from a young age in school, all the way through high school, through college, in the workplace. And we see our mind going in many different directions, focusing on many different things and trying to accomplish many different things at one time. Even then, when we focus in on what is it that the mind is doing during this process of multitasking, we see that at any given point, the mind cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. So at any given second, or even any given microsecond, portion of a second, the mind's focusing on one thing. But when we're multitasking, what's happening is the mind's juggling between focusing on different things within a short period of time. So maybe 1 second I'm focusing on this video conference that I'm in. The next second I'm focusing on attending to the chat on the side. The next second I'm focusing on, oh, my social media and another window just popped up with some important news. So each given frame of a second, we're focusing on one thing at a time, but this juggling of many different focuses increases. This juggling includes many different things that we're doing, many different tasks that we're trying to accomplish. So this is what's going on in multitasking. And because of this, what happens to our mind is that it is more extroverted. It's more it's more spread, I would say. And when we're talking about this ekagrata, what we're focusing on is bringing the mind to focus on only one topic, just one thing for an extended period of time. So rather than juggling through many different things within a given amount of time, focusing on one thing for starting with a short span and increasing it over time. This is what generally is done in meditation. And even before meditation, japa, when we see a person sitting down to do japa, right, repeating a name of the Lord for a given amount of time or a given amount of repetitions, we're priming that mind to focus in on one concept, on one ideology, and keep its focus there for an extended period of time. Even before japa, a preparatory step we could say for the mind in coming to this oneness, coming to this single pointedness and focus, we could say is puja, bringing our mind to that form of Ishvara and worshiping that form for an extended period of time. Puja, I think, is a beginning step to this entire process of single pointedness of our mind, training our mind to be single pointed. Because within puja, within the practice of the Shodashopachara, the 16 steps that we have so many different things happening within this puja, right? We have a naivedyam that we have prepared already, that we have made sure is fresh and we've brought. We have the abhishekam that we have to make sure there's all the different liquids or all the different aspects of that abhishekam we need prepared. And then during the actual puja, making sure that we're using all the right instruments, lighting the incense at the right time, offering the mangalacharan at the right time. We have all these different steps going on. Of course, all these different steps are focused towards one final goal, that Ishtadeva that we're worshiping. But through these different physical aspects, we're kind of, again, multitasking and focusing these different tasks on one larger and higher altar. So puja there is a little bit of a beginning step in that, yes, we are now focusing our mind on that Ishtadeva, but because we're so used to multitasking outside and we're so used to our mind going in so many different directions, we have tangible physical tasks that we're now helping our mind to focus on one altar. So puja there is a beginning step. After that, japa, simply repetition of the Lord's name. And here again, Swamiji had mentioned Upadesha Sara in the past few weeks in the teacher satsang. Even within japa, we have physical and verbal repetition, which then transitions into more quiet repetitions and finally just a mental repetition. So here it becomes less and less physical, more and more mental. And within this transition happening also, ideally what happens is the mind becomes more able to focus with less external props, with less external aids or assistance in order to focus on that one concept. So once puja is mastered, we could say once we've brought ourselves to do this puja every day and focus for that limited period of time every day, also adding japa, first verbal and then bringing it to mental japa, slowly primes the mind, slowly trains the mind to really gain that single pointedness, that ekagrata that we're working towards. And finally, once that also is accomplished by our mind, once our mind is also able to do that, we can add dhyanam. And if you've noticed in Swamiji's past few adult satsangs as well, when he's doing the meditation, often what he starts with is a name of the Lord or a mantra for the Lord, right? Om Namah Shivaya, absorbing ourselves into that mantra. So often this dhyanam aspect or the meditation aspect as well begins with or takes off from that previous step of japa, that focusing of the mind on one, it's not a tangible aspect, but one more conceptualized aspect that is easier to wrap our mind around. So this dhyanam, when we begin, again, is just a mental japa. Slowly we transition into more subtle ways of thinking, forms of thinking, and finally we're able to bring that mind to one single pointed focus so that the final two aspects of this chitta shuddhi can take place. Chitta nirodha nishedha. So these two aspects, restriction and transcendence, happen at this final stage of dhyana. When restriction of the mind happens, we have mastered that single pointedness, that ekagrata, and we've brought our mind under the control of our willpower at any given point, any given time of the day, not just during that practice of dhyanam or meditation, but also throughout the entire 24 hours, minus the sleep time, of course. We've brought that mind to a point of control, and we've basically restricted that mind in order to be within our mastery. This aspect also something that Gurudev harps on throughout his Gita lectures. He says mind is like so many different uncontrollable aspects of our life. And one really vivid example he gives is that it's like a bull, right, that you're trying to tame. And often it takes control of you while you're trying to tame it in this process. But when we're looking at chitta nishedha and finally chitta nirodha, that restriction, that mastery of the mind has taken place. And finally, one can transcend even that mind itself to a point where this knowledge has really sunk in, it has taken place, and we can abide in that knowledge of the true self. So who is it that's going through this entire process of karma yoga? Who is it that's going through this entire process of purification? It is the external layers of our personality, which include the body, the mind, the intellect. All of these layers that we identify with are what are going through this purification process. And finally, that ahankara, or that ego that we so closely identify with, and which is the root of all of our other identifications, that ahankara is what is worked on through this entire process. First, it is given a makeover, it's transformed into becoming more sattvic, and finally it gets dissolved so that it itself is not even something that I come to identify with. This is the entire process of karma yoga, the prep step or the prerequisite for knowledge to take place. And again, why is this happening? Why is it that this action of purification is happening at these external layers? Because going back to that absolute truth of my true nature, my true identity is already that Sat Chit Ananda. There's nothing that I can do or need to do to become that. Simply what has to happen is my current identifications with external layers of my personality, with the wrong aspects of my personality, these layers need to be corrected, these layers need to be dissolved so that the knowledge of my true nature can then stick. The knowledge of my true nature can then be abided in. And one final point of logic I'll also just explain here in terms of why in this process of karma yoga and finally jnanam that takes place, why is it that there's nothing I can do to become that? Or why is it there's nothing that needs to be done to become that Satchit Ananda? First, of course, our Shastras already tell us that this is the eternal truth. This is the eternal nature of ourself. So from that understanding, we know nothing needs to be done. Second, even from a worldly level, even from a level of our day-to-day interactions, we can see that anytime action is done, anytime we do anything, there's going to be a limited time frame on that result. In the sense that, let's say staying at home, especially nowadays, there's a lot more cleaning that has to happen because we're within these same four walls all the time. So we could say that maybe one day I clean the entire house. I start with the bathroom, wash everything, clean the tub, go through the entire house, vacuum all the carpeted floors, all the areas that dust usually collects, and then even mop the wooden floors and tiled areas that need to be mopped. So I go through this entire cleaning process. I've done this action. The result or goal of this action, of course, is for a more clean environment, more clean house. How long does this result last? Somebody in the audience is laughing. So of course, this is going to be a different answer for all of us. I read an article earlier this week that questioned, how many times can I wear the same sweatpants without having to wash them again? Now that I'm staying at home all the time, I'm not working out. So the answer to this also is going to differ for each person based on how much activity we do, based on how many times we shower a day, how much for our house, how much we use our house, right? And maybe even how many kids we have, how young are those kids. All these different factors come into play in terms of how long that result of a clean house or a clean body is going to last. But even though this result has a changing time frame in terms of how long it lasts, one thing is certain, and that is it's not going to last forever. Anything that's done for a result will have a given limited time frame. So applying this to the concept of ourself, if we're thinking about ourself and in this journey of sadhana as a seeker, if there's anything that we need to do in order to make ourselves become that Satchit Anand, that result, again, is going to be limited. There's going to be a time frame on that result. There's going to be an expiration date on that result, meaning that at some point, if there is something that I'm doing in order to become Satchit Anand, at some given point, there's going to be a flip where I, again, can lose that status of being Satchit Anand and have to work towards it again. So even here, we see that when we're doing action, when we're doing karma or any of the other types of yoga that are given in our shastras, all of these different aspects of action, either devotion or bhajans at the physical level or dhyanam at the mental level also, all of these different finality for purification to take place, knowledge be abided in, and that is what we call our end goal of moksha or freedom. Now, I know I've given just a quick overview of this entire process. I've given a few details into what is the purpose of karma yoga, the different aspects of chitta shuddhi, and again, purpose of jnana yoga. What is it that's actually happening, if there is anything happening? I think moving forward, Swamiji will also clarify how this entire view that we've looked at today fits into the bigger picture that he's been describing the past few weeks. And there probably are many different questions also that may come up. So hopefully in the future, we'll have more time to address those as well. We'll go ahead and end today's session, as usual, with our Hanuman Chalisa chanting and Mahamrityunjaya mantra. And I think Swamiji may be able to pick up again next week. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamana Mukura Sudhari Varanau Raghuvara Vimala Jasu Jodhayak Phalachari Buddhihina Tanujanike Sumirau Pavana Kumara बलबुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बलधामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन वरन विराज सुवेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंजित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाय संजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही सम भाई। सहस वदन तुम्हरो यस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। यम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी चरणा, तुम रक्षक कान्हो को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों युग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रख साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हरे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हरे भजन राम को भावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलवीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महा सुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा। की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय, बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम्, उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् 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 ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ